Question number 4 on here. How come there's no accountability of elected officials when they fail to pass legislature year after year? I say it's because we seldom, if ever, accredit genius with their folly. Nobody is going to ever know about, all the wonderful things Thomas Edison did. It's very hard to find the fact that, because he threw away Tesla's ideas, that the first person that got killed by electric chair in Sing Sing prison, I believe it was, had to get fried between 11 and 14 times before they pronounced him dead. Now, talking about the accountability of elected officials, Clinton, during his presidency, actually put into the three strikes rule, where people after 3 offenses would be imprisoned for life without the possibility of parole. The black population, that prison population skyrocketed during the Clinton administration and has ever since then. Part of the reason was because they made the clear distinction between drugs that were mostly inner city drugs that they considered minority drugs, like crack cocaine and coke, in powder form. And 2 ounces of this was less of a fine than a couple grams of this, right? Because they knew who was using essentially what. Well, Bill Clinton came out on the NAACP, a couple local chapters and other meetings, and he said that was one of the worst things that he'd ever done, and it disproportionately put people in prison. But he didn't do a damn thing to change it. And neither did Bush afterwards, and neither did Obama. None of them did anything to change that. So our prison population skyrocketed and continues to skyrocket. 2010, I believe, Bernie Sanders, who everybody's a big fan of, came out there. And I think there's a lot of people, here's the funny part, there's a lot of people I know that actually voted for Trump that would have voted for Bernie Sanders. They liked what he talked about. They liked what he said. Now, is it all based in reality? Well, maybe not, but it's a politician's job to get elected, not necessarily to do the things that you think they're supposed to be doing or things that adhere to the party mentality here, right? But Bernie Sanders, back in 2010 or 2011, actually put forth a plan to save the Veterans Administration money. And the way that he did this and try to, curb it and make it more proficient was to allow doctors to get certain bonuses if they, for example, gave out less than 35 of a certain, let's say, lung screenings per year for patients. Now, that sounds all great and dandy because now you're putting a motivation so you don't over-abuse the system so everybody just doesn't run through. You're running it more like a private insurance type thing. The downside of it is I've met a few people that actually were sick with terminal illnesses for 2 to 3 years and weren't able to get seen until that doctor actually came up on either a new fiscal year or that same doctor was leaving the hospital, so he didn't give a shit what he wrote because he wasn't going to get any more bonuses. So they're saving the VA money by making sure veterans don't get proper care and aren't probably getting taken care of. I haven't seen him say shit about that. He's not going to, fess up to that. And by the way, Obama's the one that made it official, right? So accountability for things, and this is where I go back to Obama also, where in my mind, his presidency was run very much like a Little Miss Popular schoolgirl sort of sorority. They didn't build, 1,400 miles worth of pipeline when Donald Trump became elected. That shit's been going on for 3, 4, 5 years that they've been building that. The one area that they wanted permission from, where these Native Americans actually ended up gathering and protesting with a lot of other people, that was on Obama's desk for my understanding is 9 months now, but he didn't want to sign and he didn't want to make those decisions. So here comes a guy that actually inherits a stack load of shit on his desk, and he's going to sign through and he's going to make decisions, and it's going to be business based, and he's not going to put a stop to something that's been in the building process for 5 years. And if it was such an evil thing, why didn't President Obama put a stop to it back then, right? As far as Donald Trump's presidency so far, let me just say this. I think he's had more hurdles and challenges than almost anybody else. He's not a career politician, he's a career businessman. But for the first time in about the last quarter century, I feel we have a leader in office who actually other countries are afraid of. I feel we have a leader in office who other countries understand that he understands and gets international business. Everybody else who's a politician who becomes pretty much a president here doesn't really deal so much with international politics. They start out in their state, and they move up from there, so they know state businesses and whatever else, and that's why they make really shitty deals when it comes to, I think America has been getting shafted, ever since the Clintons put in whatever deals it was on trade, right? But that's part of the reason there's no accountability on something. And additionally, this is the first quarter of a 4-quarter game. It could be an 8-quarter game, right? Or eighth game, to put it in perspective. You don't know whether he will get reelected again or not. If he does, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be sitting there confused, holding their own dick in their hands, because for the last 4 years, all you've been doing is posting anti-Trump shit to the majority and audience that also is like-minded like you are with anti-Trump everything. But you haven't reached out and you haven't educated anybody else, and they haven't learned anything from you. And quite honestly, some of the butt nuts that I've seen protesting, who didn't have a clear message, without even getting too deep into politics. If I had to vote between Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, I am certainly going to go and vote for Donald Trump right now. If I had to, if I lived in one of those countries where I had to. Otherwise, I'm not going to waste my time with either, right? But some people need to come to the conclusion sometimes that Hillary Clinton also is a fucking asshole. That's something that a lot of people don't want to think about. But she is. That's just the truth of things, right?